Okay, we're recording. This is Wrong Speed Record Chat, number 10. And we've got Mr. Tim Hall here. Tim Hall from Worthing. He's also the first Hey Colossus drummer. And he was also in the rock band I'm Being Good in the mid-90s, which we'll cover briefly in a bit. And I met him when we worked together in the late 90s. Into the early 2000s, and we'll talk about it all, I have no doubt. And he'll also tell us about his exciting job that he does. Genuinely exciting, what can I say? Yeah. You know, yeah. To a postman, your job is very exciting. So, hello, Tim, how are you doing?
Joe, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. How's Worthing?
Worthing was lovely today. Sunny, a bit cold, very nice.
Yeah. So Tim lives in Worthing. Barney lives in Worthing, who was episode 4. And we've got another Worthing character that's going to be episode 13-ish. All booked in. 3 from Worthing in the first 13. Is it the hotbed of music?
I think so, yeah. Or we all come here to retire. I don't know.
Escaping Brighton and you're escaping London. You go to Worthing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Righteous. So, Tim, you work for Sub Pop.
I do indeed, yes.
And tell us your job title.
I am international sales and distribution and production. And yeah, I mean, Seattle's obviously where Sub Pop are based. And then they employed me about 6 years ago to look after their European sales and distribution, and also look after production. There's another lovely fella called Ryan Oxley, who works for Sub Pop. He's in London, and I just work out my spare room in Worthing. And we have a little office in Hackney, which we've obviously not been to for over a year. Just a little small space that we share with a couple of other labels and PR people. But essentially, yeah, everything is, I just work from my little spare room, really, on my laptop.
Yeah, see, to me, and maybe to other people watching, that could blow people's minds that a label that we consider quite big would be run out of a back room in Worthing for essentially the whole of Europe.
Yeah, I mean, the office in Seattle's big, but nobody's in that either. I mean, it's everybody's kind of working remotely at the moment, but I've always kind of, apart from going up to London a couple of times a month, work from home, really. Because international for Sub Pop means pretty much everywhere outside of North America. So I'm dealing with Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Africa, but all, pretty much everywhere around Europe, really. We have sort of distributors across the whole of Europe.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of, they're just, dealing with all the business that kind of goes with moving records around the world and, setting up releases and getting records manufactured as well, which is a big part of my job. Making vinyl, delivering digital stuff, making CDs still, shipping cassettes over from the US. We don't make them here, but we try and make as much of the releases that we do. I kind of back engineer stuff in Europe, and we make CDs and vinyl over here.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because when we were coming up in the world musically, and like in the late 80s and early 90s, and we were buying Sub Pop records. So, for example. This compilation here, which was really important to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the time, Sub Pop licensed. So Sub Pop, and this one's Waterfront. Is that an Australian label?
That's an Australian, yeah. And Orgogo, some of the Mudhoney releases were licensed to Orgogo in Australia 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But Glitterhouse was the German licensee of Bleach by Nirvana, and they licensed the early Mudhoney records as well. I mean, the version of Superfuzz Big Muff that was released by Glitterhouse has Touch Me I'm Sick on it, but the American original version doesn't. It has the track Need. So, different versions over here slightly. But yeah, Glitterhouse released, the Mudhoney album in '89. and the Bleach album in '89.
And Tupelo? What's the story with
Tupelo Recording Company? Yeah, it was Glitterhouse Tupelo. So yeah, that I don't know how long that lasted for, but I was thinking the other day I bought my copy of Bleach from the kind of import section, but it wasn't really import at our price in Worthing. This is 30 odd years ago, 1989, 32 years ago. So yeah, it was, they had a little import section where you could buy Discord records and Sub Pop records and, you know, compilations basically.
Yeah.
And I remember sending my mum over, you know, she was going to Worthing for the afternoon, and I said, can you get me the Fugazi album? First EP, you know, and the guy tried to sell her a Marillion record.
Because it was called
My mum was adamant that she's like, no, it's not Marillion, it's a band called Fugazi. And she was like, I think she ended up sort of, you know, having to find the record from the US import section and go, you know, this one.
Yeah.
So
there was a point then when Sub Pop stopped licensing those records to European labels, and
yeah, I mean this is a long time before my time, but I think the early '90s they started. They opened a short-lived office over here that was here for a couple of years.
Yeah, and
yeah, they sort of just started sort of bringing, you know, importing records directly. I don't know if they manufactured the releases back then. I think that really started about 10, 15 years ago, where we're, you know, manufacturing records in Europe. But yeah, I mean, it's actually, we're sort of recording this on the 1st of April, and it's the label's 33rd birthday today. 1st of April is the official birthday of Sub Pop, and yeah, 33 years old today.
Perfect then. Yes. Yeah, I planned that.
You did very well.
So that's what you're doing now. But we met when you were working at Vital, and I was working at Vital.
Vital was changed its name to PAS, or Play It Again Sam.
Yeah. Let's not get too into Vital because it's a bit drab.
Let's not.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's where we met.
Yeah.
And that is where you know, the band started. Hey Colossus started in 2003 when we both worked at Vital.
It is, yes.
We'd
hatched a plan. We'd kind of talked about it for a while.
Yeah.
And then we kind of did it. We hired a rehearsal space in Stoke Newington, I think. It was in Stoke Newington. We all went over there on a sort of hot summer's evening. Yeah. And there was 5 of us. Was it 6? No, it was 5.
Yeah, 5. It was us 2. Yeah. We were the meat and potatoes rhythm section.
Absolutely.
3 guitarists all shouting their heads off.
Yeah. Ian, James, and Bob.
Yeah. And
it all kind of came together. If I remember, it came together very quickly because you had a gig booked, a Stanton gig. Was that right? Or was it an Econoline gig? It was either a Stanton or a Econoline show that was booked. And we thought we better just, that didn't happen, or Stanton weren't going to play the show because, if I remember rightly, Stanton had ceased to be.
Yeah. So
we thought we would do the show as a Hey Colossus show instead. And we had like 2 songs very quickly, and then we had to write another 4 or 5. We kind of cobbled together a set, which was pretty good actually, of about 6 songs, and we played at place in Highbury Islington next to the tube station.
Correct.
Buffalo Bar, is that right? The Buffalo. Played in the Buffalo Bar, yeah. And then we just started playing more and more shows, didn't we? Really? Yeah. I think Worthing was one of the first places we played.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that because your mum and dad were both there.
My mum and dad were both there. They stood through the whole thing, I think. And we played at the place which is called the Thieves Kitchen now. Yeah, and then we played like Oxford, and then we would play ridiculous shows in weird squatted pubs in Loughborough Junction, round the corner from where we ended up rehearsing. Under a train track, is that right? We were in a kind of lock-up with dust falling on our heads every time the trains went over, covering all our gear with dust every time, you know. So yeah, then we played loads of shows.
Do you remember in that rehearsal place when the rat ran behind the drum kit and you jumped up?
Yes. There were rats. It was pretty. Yeah, it was a bit of a funky kind of place. But we just,
So
Yeah,
we
it's good.
formed. So we formed in 2003, and I think the rough aim was to mix these two bands.
I think so. Yeah.
Right, so
Melvins, Fudge Tunnel, maybe the Melvins were thrown into the mix a little bit as well.
yeah, so that's
But
kind
I
of what
think,
we want to do.
yeah, Tago Mago was a big kind of like, that was, you know, Can was like really kind of,
Yeah,
it was a sort of noisy, loose, kind of, yeah, noisy Can.
yeah, and then that first gig we played, like you say, 6 songs.
Yeah.
And 5 of them ended up on the Hates You record that came out in Johnson Family.
Indeed.
What you got in there?
I got a fax. I don't know what that's doing in there. A fax from Warren DeFeather from His Name Is Alive. Strange things fall out of my records. I'll tell you about one of those later. Yeah, that's an old 4AD fax. I worked at 4AD before Vital.
Mental.
Forgotten I had that.
So yeah, we recorded this in Bob's work in 2003, and here's something for you who make records now for a living.
I remember the turnaround time.
We recorded this the first weekend of December. We
Yeah.
sent it off a week later, about the 10th. We got 500 copies back on the 19th of December.
Insane.
It was like a 9-day turnaround.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen now.
You're lucky to do it in 6 months.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 9-day turnaround. And then we played the Rota venue in Notting Hill in January and released it.
Yeah, that was a great gig as well. That was with Cove.
Yeah.
Was that Cove? Yeah, it was. That was a really good day. Yeah. That was an amazing show. Enjoyed that a great deal.
Yeah. And then the other 2 records that you're on, actually there's 3 others, but for some reason I can't find the 7-inch, the banana covered Lord split.
Phil Collins 3 split.
Oh shit, yeah, you're on that as well. Okay, no, I can't find that or the Lord split.
I've got them somewhere.
Yeah, can't find them.
Yeah.
But you were on this.
Yep. Just about.
Drumming the hell out of. None of us could play the song. It wasn't.
No, I couldn't play it.
No, none of us could. Don't listen closely to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're on this.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good.
Hey Colossus 2. Yeah.
Hey Colossus 2 is a good album.
Yeah, and we recorded that at
AC/DC studio in Islington.
Yeah.
Over 2 weekends, I had the keys. I was given the keys to AC/DC's studio. It was a proper working studio, and they stored all their backline there. I was doing some work for a company called Alberts, who were AC/DC's publisher. They had a label, and the very nice man from Alberts, James Cassidy, said, "Yeah, you can record there. Just use the big live room." So we wheeled in a digital recorder, and they had like a 36-track, serious, proper, lots of money gear. And we just Phil set up his recording equipment, and we recorded live in this multi-million-pound studio. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And then they sold it a few years later. I think they sold AC/DC apparently never recorded there, barely used it. And then they sold it, and it's now all flats, luxury apartments, as you'd expect.
I'm sure there's a blue plaque on the wall saying that we recorded there.
There is.
Yeah, good.
But it was good fun. That was good fun as well.
Yeah.
But everything was live. I think I think possibly vocals were overdubbed, but we just hammered it out in a couple of days like we did back then.
Yeah, it was good fun.
It was good. Good fun,
yeah. So that's that. And then around 2005, 2006 at some point, I don't know quite when, 2006 probably.
2006, I drummed for 3 years and then I retired.
Yeah, and you moved to Worthing.
A few years later, but I did retire, from the road. Two 3-day tours I spread over 2 weekends, and that was enough for me. I think I was finished off after driving in a van with everybody from Nottingham to Glasgow, and then back down to Leeds. I retired. I think me and Ian both left at the same time.
Yeah, it's true.
That was the end of Mark 1. But
Yeah.
the band has gone on to bigger and better things, I think.
But I will say that when you did leave, I was thinking this could be the end. Like, you know, when two people leave out of five, and it's a drummer and a guitarist singer, you do think, okay, this is problematic.
No, but I think the band now is just,
So, also, we'll just quickly mention before we get onto the actual subject of what we're supposed to be doing here.
Yeah.
Have you got this book?
I do, yeah.
And why have you got this book?
Well, one, because I like Peel Sessions a lot, but I think it's probably one of the only books I'm in.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I've got page marked.
Bookmarked, yeah.
It's so where the hell? Yeah, not going to show up.
No.
It's I'm Being Good. Recorded a John Peel session, and you are the drummer.
Yes.
In 1994.
Blimey, I was only 12.
21st of October, 1994. It's Andrew Clare, Dave Campbell, Jason Williams, Tim Hall.
Yeah, that was a fun day. I remember that. I mean, that was, yeah, you know, obviously there's, you know, everybody knows that you never met Peel, but not on the sort of the Peel sessions. But yeah, we drove up from Brighton. We had 4 or 5 songs we recorded. I think it was 4. It was just such a great day. It was in the big room, the big, you know, massive, great big studio. I can't remember, is it 3? I'm not sure, but the big one.
Right.
And yeah, it was really good. And then you kind of like went home, waited a couple of months for it to be broadcast.
Yeah.
Huddled around your transistor radio.
Yeah,
I think Peel really liked it. I think, you know, I've got a tape of it and he's effusive.
Cool.
But it was really good fun. Yeah. And I think, yeah, it's on YouTube probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good fun.
That's mental. Because I was looking at the I'm Being Good discography today. Yeah. And around that time, the band had done 2 cassettes and about 2 7-inch singles.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a box of the 7 inches somewhere, which I didn't drum on actually. I think I might have drummed on one or maybe not. But yeah, those, I mean, I'm Being Good, before I joined them, we loved that band, you know, we would go and see them support, you know, everybody in Brighton. They played a lot of supports to sort of like touring American stuff. Yeah. And yeah, they were just a great band, you know, and still are, really.
Yeah.
You know, really, really great.
Yeah.
And they've been going since, coming up 30 years, I guess.
Yeah, I know.
Which is crazy. But
yeah, I love them. I love the band. So yeah.
I think Colossus played a couple of shows with them back when I was in the band as well.
It's very possible. Yeah. And then we put out a Johnson family put out an I'm Being Good album, 2005. Right. So the same year we did 2, we also put out an I'm Being Good album. It felt quite nice to do both together.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So anyhow, we're here to talk about records.
Yes.
Now, 20 minutes in or whatever, however long. Hit me with, please, Mr. Tim, a record from your favourite record shop.
From my favourite record shop is a difficult one. I'd say probably this kind of, it's hard. I'd say one of my favourite record shops is, and we were talking about how I don't go on tour, so I don't really buy records on tour because I don't go on tour. But when I travel a bit, and I used to go to Seattle a couple of times a year, a fella called Dean Whitmore, who used to work at Sub Pop, opened a couple of years ago a really great record shop called Hex Induction Records. And
show us Tim, show us the T-shirt.
Hex Induction. And the last time I was there, I bought this fantastic album by, I pronounce it, how would you pronounce that, Joe?
The Urinals.
The Urinals, right. Which caused a lot of mirth in Seattle because our American cousins pronounced it the Urinals.
Of course they do.
And of course, when I asked for a Urinals album, you know, everybody giggles, but this is great. This is kind of has the early EPs on it and another EP, the Urinals EP. It's got this amazing track called Black Hole, which is one of my favourite Urinals tracks. And they're kind of, you know, it's sort of, I guess they were kind of doing stuff like sort of 77, 78.
Okay.
It's just really great. It's kind of from that sort of slightly sort of weird arty side of punk before that even became a thing. It's not, you know, it's kind of, I suppose the English equivalent would be swell maps or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is great. It's kind of that sort of like swell maps, subway sect sort of side of punk, you know, and all the sort of strange and, you know, US first wave, like the Deals and the weirdos and things like that. And these are even kind of like sort of strangely.
Where were they from?
I think they're from San Francisco. I've probably got that wrong. San Francisco or LA. I should know, shouldn't I? But yeah, that's a great record.
Yeah,
really
and what label is that on?
This is on In the Red Archives.
Oh, In the Red Archives. All right, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really good. And Hex Induction's a great record shop, and they do a really cool kind of sort of quarterly fanzine, sort of, which doesn't just talk about music. It's sort of a bit, you know, sort of talks a lot about Seattle, but there's like poems and art and just weird stuff in it, and it's really great. And that's a really good record shop. But you know, I've missed going to for the last sort of year and a bit. But yeah, it's really cool.
Have you been buying mail order records or?
I've been buying all sorts of stuff off of eBay, and also from one of my favourite record shops around here is Ray of Delight in Arundel, which is a secondhand shop. And Malcolm, who runs it, has a really good eBay site. So you know, it's a shop that I go to every sort of 2 weeks. Drive over to Arundel. And I always buy like a bunch of stuff when I'm there because it's really well priced, and you know, he's always got some interesting stuff in. It's all secondhand. So I've been buying stuff from him sort of, you know, online, and you know, really looking forward to going back there. I think I bought this, I may be wrong, I bought my copy of Dare by Human League there only a couple of months back. A record I, you know, would never have bought when it came out. I just wasn't interested, you know. I was listening to The Jam. X's Midnight Runners, and I didn't like synth pop, but as I, you know, now I just think this record's a masterpiece, and obviously it is.
This subject has come up with alarming regularity of people like being like just rock people or whatever, and they're young and dismissing the top 40. And now when you hear that, when you hear Human League or ABC or whatever on the radio, your ears and your back of the neck goes, whoa, I'm loving it.
Yeah, I was when I was 10 or 11, I was early 80s, just really into the Jam, and then the Style Council and Madness and Dexys and that whole kind of thing. And I didn't like, you know, synth pop, but I suppose Depeche Mode changed that a bit in the kind of mid 80s, the sort of Black Celebration era. Depeche Mode I really like still, but going back to stuff like Human League now and Soft Cell and Blancmange, you know, some of the Blancmange singles are amazing, and the kind of, I suppose Scritti Politti a bit more kind of, they came out of punk a little bit more but went very pop. But yeah, all that stuff. Talk obviously, the Talk records, not so much the earlier synth kind of Duran style stuff, but the later stuff kind of comes out of that, I suppose, eventually. But that's I think I got Dare from Malcolm, Ray of the Light, which is
right. And it's weird, like you pronounce it Arundel. You're from that neck of the woods, so that's how you pronounce it.
Arundel,
it's weird,
not Arundel.
When I was at school, so 10 or whatever, we went on a school trip to the castle there.
Did you?
Yeah, and like, so we had to do a whole bunch of work on it, and we all pronounced it Arundel. Arundel Castle we went to.
Arundel Castle, brilliant. It's a lovely place. Yeah. But they've just have a really great, you know, Ray of the Light's a really good shop, you know.
Right. Okay.
Hopefully, when, you know, as soon as we can go to record shops again, I'll be heading over there.
Yeah. Let's hope they all survive, eh?
Yeah, I think that, you know, shops have been doing well on mail order, I think, you know.
No, I'm saying I hope they decide to stay open, because I think they have been doing well with mail order, and they might be thinking, why do we need brick and mortar?
No, for sure. I think shops like to have a kind of storefront that people come in and they bring records in as well. That's an important thing for secondhand record shop, is people coming in with their collections that they want to sell. So I think that's really important. It's different for kind of shops that just don't just do, but do sort of new releases. because they're primarily talking to the distributors, you know, Cargos and Play Against Sam and etc. But yeah, secondhand record shops, I hope they do stay open as well.
Yeah,
it's really important.
Who distributes Sub Pop?
Play Against Sam.
Is it in the UK, right?
Yeah. Different people around Europe, but in the UK, it's Play Against Sam. I was originally the Sub Pop label manager at Play Against Sam about 10 or 12 years ago. Right. That's how I kind of got to know the label, really, was being their label manager initially. And then I left Play Against Sam, and then they were looking for somebody to sort of look after the business, but based in Europe, whereas it always was the person that did it before, who's still at Sub Pop, Gabe, moved to a different job. He was based in Seattle, but they wanted somebody, you know, in Europe to do it.
On the front line, that is you.
On the coal face of the record line.
Hit me with a record with memories.
Oh, gosh. Well, I guess this is one of my favourite albums of all time. This is A Gilded Eternity.
Yeah.
By Loop.
Yeah.
And I guess, I mean, you know, huge Loop fan. Had my mind blown. Heaven's End. I have my copy here somewhere.
I predicted a Loop mention. Yeah.
But this, I remember, I bought this pretty much the day it came out at Eastern Bloc Records in Manchester, which was a great record shop. I was up in Manchester. I'd gone up from the South Coast to visit Manchester University. I think this is February 1990, so I'd have been 18. And I bought this there. And Eastern Bloc Record Shop was a great shop. And I also bought a Snub TV long sleeve.
Oh, sweet.
Top. It's, Snub TV.
Well,
I wish I still
program.
had. Yeah. So I bought this, and this is the original with the 7-inch. It's the double sort of 2 12-inches. And I just remember, I think I was riding my bike to the station to kind of park, and I was going to, get the train up to London and then the train up to Manchester. I bumped into a friend of mine, Garin. And then we lived in a little village kind of on the south coast called Rustington and Angmering. And I said I was going up to Manchester, and we got talking about Loop. They said, can you buy me a copy of the new album? It's like, sure. So I bought 2 copies. And this is like pre-internet, pre-mobile phone. So it was just on spec. Yeah, I'll buy you a copy. And I, came back a few days later, 2 copies, one for me and one for him. And he, I think he loved it as well, and is still a massive fan. And in fact, the last time Luke played Brighton, me and Garen DJ'd before the band played.
Wow. Cool.
Just a little kind of set of post-punk and reggae and noisy sort of stuff. But yeah, so this is a really great record. And the tour they did, I saw them in Brighton on this tour, and it was just insane. It was just the World Domination Enterprises and Godflesh and Loop. What a lineup.
Yeah.
That was so amazing. At the Zap Club in Brighton, February 1990. But yeah, and they're still,
Yeah.
Think of a new album for them.
Yeah, I saw Godflesh in 1990, supporting Nirvana.
Right.
Astoria. But they were a 3-piece because they had the Loop guitarist playing with them.
Robert would have played, I think post Loop, he played guitar for them for a while, for a tour or two. Yeah, and they actually had Mick Harris from Napalm Death played drums for Godflesh for a little while as well. Oh, really? And there's footage on YouTube of it doesn't, not sure it really works, but Harris obviously being an amazing drummer, so they actually got rid of the drum machine, and he's battering away. The first time I saw Godflesh was 88, Napalm Death, the Bill Steer, Shane Embury, Lee Dorian, Mick Harris lineup of Napalm Death, supported by Godflesh. I think I was 16, 17, and it was just insane. It was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Just one of the best gigs ever. Napalm Death and Godflesh, just pummeling. In a little venue in Brighton, the original Zap, before they knocked it into a bigger venue, it was just a tunnel, sort of underneath, up from the beach. That was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that would be very, very excellent.
that was the kind of, you know, that was when just after Peel had been playing Napalm Death and they'd done the Peel session and the From Enslavement to Oblivion album, and they were just on fire. You know, it was just incredible.
Yeah. Well, that's a great record as well.
Yeah,
I still like it. I still listen to it a lot. I took Stan and Freddie to see them.
Was it good? I bet it was.
It was about 3 years ago. It was at Glastonbury. They played the Thursday night at Glastonbury Festival. I blagged like 3 tickets off some people that live in the village of Pilton.
Yeah.
Just for the one night. They can sign tickets over. So you get a free ticket if you live in Pilton, and you can sign the ticket over to people if you don't want to go or whatever. And it was because it was the Thursday. It wasn't like the festival proper. I managed to convince someone to hand over 3 tickets so I could just take Stan and Freddie and just to watch Napalm Death on the Thursday night.
I'd love to see them next time they play. I think I listened to their most recent album. It's really good.
Yeah,
I think they're really good.
Yeah, no, they're still pushing things and still doing going about it the right way. Yeah.
And it's funny because like I didn't have a metal past. You know, my entry level into sort of metal, if you know, I'm not really a metal dude, was Napalm Death really. You know, I think it was from listening to Peel and Peel talking about Napalm Death and electro hippies and maybe even stuff like Bolt Thrower. I think, you know, that was my entry level into sort of like English kind of metal and hardcore at the time.
Yeah.
But I didn't, you know, never listened to sort of any rock music really before that, other than maybe like the Cult.
Yeah, well, the Cult tricked people, didn't they? Because they were gothic for a bit, and then before you knew it, the gothic people were kind of suddenly into metal when they did Sonic Temple or whatever.
Absolutely.
And it was like, I'm supposed to like this now, or am I now a metaler? Oops, I've tripped over.
The last gig I saw in England was the Cult doing Sonic Temple about 18 months ago.
Whoa.
And it was a good night out. It was like, you know, I enjoyed myself a great deal.
God help you. I saw them on that tour. I saw them at Wembley Arena on that tour in 1989.
1989, yeah. I saw them on the Electric Tour twice.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But,
yeah. That's the thing. You're about a year or two ahead of me on all of those things because I was 15 in 89. So I saw them at Wembley Arena.
Yeah, I was 17 in 89.
Yeah, so you're just 2 years. So, yeah.
I was too young or just not really quick enough off the mark to see the Love tour, even though I loved that album. But then when Electric came out, I had tickets for Brighton and Portsmouth, you know, the beginning and the end of the tour. And they were great. It was just like a big silly rock show, you know, but that's kind of what you expected. You weren't going there for kind of subtlety.
It's a pretty weird album, I think, Electric. Just so straight up, like, we just bought Back in Black.
Yeah. And Ruben has given us a Les Paul and a Marshall, and it's just like strip away all the effects.
Yeah.
But good fun at the time.
Hit me with a bargain find.
Oh yes, and this is possibly one of my top 5 albums of all time. Is Scott Thor.
Nice.
I picked this up for a couple of quid in a charity shop in Rustington, where I was born. This and another Scott Walker album, a kind of 70s movie themes record, and Scott 3, all for about a tenner, you know. And this is the original Phillips pressing from 68, I think.
Yeah.
And this is just, it didn't cost very much. It's a bit crackly, but when I saw this, it's like, you know, you don't see records like this in charity shops. No. And you know, there's talk about this record like was deleted very quickly. It wasn't repressed a lot through the 70s, I guess, late 60s. It was deleted. The history is it was deleted very quickly. Just didn't sell. People who like Scott Walker, like my mum, massive Scott Walker fan, never bought. You know, but this is just the most perfect album, you know, from beginning to end. Seventh Seal, Old Man's Back Again, World's Strongest Man. I think, you know, really love this record, and it was great to find it. And
he's looking cool as well on the cover. He's looking cool.
Just the best.
But iconic, isn't it? It's sort of
superb.
Yeah.
That was a really good find. You know.
Yeah. Do you remember Do you remember when we were at Vital? There was a band called the Scott Four.
Yes, I saw them play Glastonbury once. Before I was working at Vital, I was working at 4AD, and I drove with Kristen Hirsch to Glastonbury Festival where she was performing, and it was one of the really, really, really wet ones. And she was supposed to be on about like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and got there at literally 10 to 5. We got to the site at 10 to 5 and had to drive through the site, through the mud, knocking people out the way. And her husband, manager, literally carried her on stage and dropped her on a stool, and she played. But Scott Ford had been playing before, and I think they were just told to keep playing because Kristen hadn't turned up. And they were just like, extended jams or something. But yeah, only time I ever saw Scott Thor.
Yeah, I can't remember anything about them, but
Yeah.
I think that the release I have by them, just because I worked at Vital, so I've got the record. I think it was a 10-inch and a 7-inch, and that was the packaging.
Ah,
I can't remember what label it was on or anything, and I have no idea if it's. You what? Sorry.
Talking of 10 inches.
Yeah, we'll get to it. But, don't shoot your load, Tim.
I'm sorry.
You're always coming in early on the choruses.
Story of my life.
Okay, I think you've already set out a little caveat for this one, but we're going to go for it anyway to see where it goes. Okay. Record bought on tour.
Record bought on tour. Interesting. Well, again, I think it's not really on tour, but my first trip to America was, we'll call it a tour. I think I went to San Francisco, and I was the one thing I really wanted to do, and it sounds ridiculous now, was buy this. And it was 94, or was it 95? 94. I'd gone to San Francisco and I kind of saved up some money. I was working at the Virgin Megastore at the time, and this is when Branson owned it.
Right.
And you could get cheap flights through Virgin if you worked at the Virgin Megastore. So I got a third or maybe a half off a flight to San Francisco for a holiday.
Oh, that's sweet. I didn't know about that.
And, being a bit of a sad sort of vinyl collector person, one of the main things was going to record shops and finding stuff I couldn't get over here. And I think this was probably available, but that was a really big,
it's a great record.
Finding that and then trying to get it back in my luggage, sort of unbent. But this is a great record. I think it's possibly their best. I don't know. They were just amazing at that time.
I think it probably is their best. I'd agree. Yeah.
Bell Bottoms and Ditch and Greyhound and Flavor, they were just insane. And this is like really, really great album.
Yeah. Did you see them?
Loads of times. They played Brighton a lot. I saw their first British show at the Powerhouse in London, I think.
Oh, yeah.
First time the Blues Explosion played was at the Powerhouse, pretty sure. And we all went up from Brighton to see them, and it was just incredible. Kind of read about them and heard them on Peel or whatever. But yeah, it was that was kind of traveling a long way to buy a record.
Yeah, that's a proper tour then, isn't it?
But equally, I had friends. It was difficult. Obviously, it was kind of harder to get records that were out of print if you weren't buying them from the back pages of Record Collector or something. But equally, I really wanted to get a copy of this On the Beach.
Oh yeah,
by Neil Young. One of my.
What's it? Open up the sleeve. What's the inside?
The inside is a deck chair.
Oh, you've got it. Oh, I'm going to make sure I've got to tag Chris Summerlin in. Have you watched the Summerlin episode?
Not yet. No. But this copy, I mean, a friend who was from work was going to San Francisco, and it was like, when you go to San Francisco on the cheap Virgin ticket, can you get me a copy of this? Because you couldn't find it in secondhand shops in Brighton or anywhere.
No.
It didn't get repressed until about 10 years ago. So, and he found a copy in a secondhand shop in San Francisco and basically brought it back, I'd never heard it. Pre-Spotify, whatever, YouTube. Just had to kind of track them down. And it didn't disappoint. That was the main thing. It was like, it'd come a long way, but it was everything I kind of hoped it would be.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Because you could buy all the other, you could buy After the Gold Rush and Harvest and Freedom and Ragged Glory, but this and Time Fades Away just were out of print for a long time.
Yeah.
That's like fantastic record. So it's kind of a tour. It's been on tour itself, this album. It's gone a long way. It's come home. I played it today. A lot of these records I've just replayed today just because it's like, you know, making a pile, and it's like, yeah, this and Time Fades Away and Tonight's the Night still just don't disappoint.
No, right. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Record that people wouldn't think that you would dig.
I think, I don't know, it's hard. I've got pretty eclectic taste now. I think, as we've discussed, I've been back when we were younger, your taste tends to be quite narrow.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, it's kind of got wider and sort of wider. But I'm still going back to stuff that I missed in the 80s and 90s that I probably read about in the music press but couldn't afford to buy, you know, or just didn't think. And something I've bought recently off of eBay is Easter House album.
Oh, don't know that.
You know Easter House on Rough Trade? This is from, I think this is from 95 or 96.
Right.
Just a really great band. The guitarist, when Johnny Marr left the Smiths, he was auditioned as the new Johnny Marr in the Smiths, and it lasted about a week.
Right.
But this record was just really great. It's kind of around the same time as the Redskins, I guess, maybe a year later.
Right.
It's a bit janglier, but 1969 is just an incredible track. Whistling in the Dark. Get Back to Russia. That Get Back to Russia is very like the Redskins. They were a real kind of political, communist, almost kind of guitar band from Manchester, I think.
Right.
Pretty sure. Two brothers. Brilliant.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Do not know it. Brilliant.
Yeah. Really like this record. I think it's, you know, and yeah, kind of a bit of a battered copy, but yeah, that's been the favourite for the last year. That and the, you know, another band, artist, Lloyd Cole, Rattlesnakes record, which I only heard about a year ago. Ridiculously. I think I probably heard, you know, Rattlesnakes the track, but I've just fallen in love with this over the past.
See, that one does surprise. That one probably would surprise people, I guess.
Lloyd Cole?
Maybe. It was like, I've just got to let the hound out. But yeah, that was...
Let the hound out.
Got to let the dogs out.
I've gone back and just like picked up as many Lloyd Cole records as I can. And I've just, you know, I kind of knew who he was.
Yeah.
And obviously, Perfect Skin and Rattlesnakes you'd kind of know. But I think they're just really great records, really great albums. Yeah. So that's, maybe people would be surprised. I don't know. People who know me probably wouldn't be surprised. But really love that.
That's a cool one.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite 10-inch, and what your thoughts on the format?
I don't mind them, but as a few people have said, I don't think shops like them particularly because they literally get lost in the racks unless there's a dedicated 10-inch section, which a lot of shops wouldn't have.
No,
they just get lost. They get lost within albums, or even 12 inches. Not a lot of shops have 12-inch departments anymore because not a lot of people release 12 inches like they used to. No. Which is a bit of a shame because it was a cheap way to kind of, you know, I've got loads of 12 inches by bands who I never bought an album by. No. I just like the song. But I kind of had a couple. I like them, but I can understand why shops don't. And not a lot of labels really release them because there's, you know, I've got about that many 10 inches in my collection.
Yeah.
It could be the Stereolab Lo-Fi EP, which is great.
Yeah.
Stereolab did a lot of 10 inches. Really good.
Stereolab actually, we should just quickly mention the Stereolab thing. I thought I'd bring one because I thought, okay, we're going to end up talking about Stereolab at least for one moment.
Tomato ketchup. That's got a track we covered in Hey Colossus, is that right?
Yeah, so it's actually, so we did, with yourself drumming, original lineup, we did a Radio 1 session for Hugh Stevens.
We did.
2005.
Yeah.
We played Ghost Ship, which was a split 7-inch that we'd released on Victory Garden.
Mm-hmm.
We played Take It, which was kind of a jam D or sort of D or something. And we played a noisy song, Horsehead, but we also did one cover.
We did.
And it was from this album. And it was Noise of Carpet.
Noise of Carpet. And Scanlan sang.
Yeah.
Scanlon impersonating Letitia.
Yeah. And if I remember rightly, when we set up to start playing it, the people who were engineering the session said that they'd done all of Stereolab sessions there and were judging us harshly.
Yeah. Not sure you've really brought anything to that track, lads. Yeah. But it was good fun.
Yeah, we never played it live. I don't think we played it live.
No, we played it once, I think. That was it.
Yeah.
Just as we recorded it. Never played it again.
Yeah. So
not just like our cover of In a Silent Way by Miles Davis. I think we only ever played that once.
Yeah.
The Woe Colossus record.
I'm hoping to I'm hoping to have Pete from Woe in for a future episode. So
that was a Saturday out in Essex recording with them. That was really good fun.
Yeah. It was in Southend. John Hannon's studio.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the 10-inch I've decided on, it's probably not their far from their best record, but is Butthole Surfer's Widowmaker EP.
Yeah.
And partly because the tracks on it, Booze Tobacco, is great, but there's just this, it brings back memories of their performance. You can't really see that, but it's a kind of contact proof sheet of photographs of them playing at the Reading Festival in 1989.
I don't think my copy's got that in it.
Nah, well, this is just loads of photos of them playing, and it was just their performance at Reading that year was just insane. And it's on Blast First, and it's Helicopter and Bond Song, 1401, and Booze Tobacco. Probably not the best Butthole Surfers record, but it was released, I think, about 3 or 4 months after that Reading Festival appearance, which was just completely insane. First time I'd seen Butthole Surfers, and they were just brilliant, hilarious.
Right, yeah.
In a kind of good way.
Yeah.
Dusty Sunday afternoon. But
so again, I was a year or two later. So you sort of judge bands by when you buy a new album, but so the new album that came out when I was getting into them was Piowed, or however you say it.
Not their best, maybe.
No, with the Donovan cover, which I did like.
Hurdy-Gurdy Man.
Yeah.
With Hurdy-Gurdy Man.
Yeah.
But I think this is kind of, the band was splintering a little bit. I think Teresa had left, so they were down to being a 4-piece.
Right.
And obviously, a Saturday afternoon on the big stage at Reading, they couldn't really set anything on fire because they'd get in trouble, but they smashed a few guitars up. And, I was 17 and I thought it was amazing. And, in those days, Mosh Pit didn't want to go into it because it looked lethal. And there was a dust cloud over the stage and it was silly. But, they were really good.
Yeah.
And that was the kind of first good Reading. It didn't last very long, but I think it was the day that World Domination Enterprises played and Loop played and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It was good.
I think I think my first Reading was either 1990 or 99. I can't remember.
Right.
It was the one that Nirvana were on, like first or second, that one.
Yeah. That 91.
Yeah.
Sonic Youth and Dinosaur.
So I was 17. That was because Bob had just learnt to drive, so we went in Bob's white Fiesta, and apparently, according to him, I forgot the tent.
Sleeping in the back of the car.
So we had to sleep in the car. But yeah, so at 91 again. I'm just like 2 years behind. If that's 89, I went 91.
Yeah, it was good. It was the first year that it wasn't like the year 88 was like Meatloaf, Bonnie Tyler, Starship. And then 89 was like, the Pogues, New Order and The Mission headline. But underneath there were like, My Bloody Valentine, Spaceman 3, Loop, World Dom, Billy Bragg. It was good. It was much better.
I think about this a lot with especially with Reading Festival. So when they announce the lineups each year, there's always like elderly men moaning about like us moaning about the lineup, going, God, it looks terrible. But do you think that like in 1989 and 1990 there were 40-year-olds then going, oh, look at this lineup, this is terrible, it was so much better 10 years, like, are we just like so
Dumpy's Rusty Nuts playing
well, I still think that.
But I think if the equivalent lineup today of Reading, they would be putting on like the OCs, you know, and
Right. Yeah.
Hot Snakes, you know, not whatever it is they're putting on. But yeah,
Yeah.
it does make a sound.
Yeah.
Then.
But that's what I mean. Like, if you're a 16 or 17-year-old and your first Reading is 2022, say, and it's a whole bunch of bands that we've probably not heard of, headlined by maybe the Arctic Monkeys or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, but the 17-year-olds are going to be looking at that thinking this is brilliant, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
yeah, it swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, so it's just us being old thinking that it is, isn't it?
Potentially, yeah. But it was a good year, 89 and 91. I only went for the day in 90, but yeah.
Yeah. It's, for me, there's like I think I went 91, 92, and maybe 93 or 4. It's like a 3-year or 4-year period that I went to Reading, and I think
I did the same. There was a 3 or 4 year period where I wanted to go every year, and then after that, I actively didn't want to ever go again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That was the same.
Like, if I'm going to go, it's going to be for an afternoon, and I'd like to be at home by 11.
Yeah. No, I was the same. I think I did a couple of Glastonbury's, 90s, like just because it was different, looked quite exciting. I even did a Phoenix festival.
I think I did a Phoenix festival. Neil Young headlined for hours.
That's right. Neil Young headlined Reading for hours. Pearl Jam with the backing band.
Supported by Soundgarden. I think I went home after Soundgarden and missed Pearl Jam Neil Young set. But never mind.
Yeah. You got any other records to show there?
Anything else of interest? I actually think I picked this up in a record shop in Worthing. Music Mania. I'm pretty sure I bought this in Music Mania about a year ago. And it was like, I have a copy already on Edsel, the kind of 80s Edsel reissue.
Yeah.
But this is the United States of America's only record from, I think this is 68 or 69. And it's like, I heard this when I was about 17, 18, and it was just, in the same week I probably heard 13 Floor Elevators for the first time and the Electric Prunes, and and hearing this as well. And this is like the strangest kind of psychedelic 60s album, but one of the best.
Right.
It's just an incredibly good record. It's kind of it's kind of influenced by Sgt. Pepper a little bit. It's kind of a bit of vaudeville to it, but there's some serious kind of driving fuzz bass and electric viola and a guy playing kind of ring modulator and stuff, but really sweet vocals from Dorothy Mankiewicz and Joseph Bird. Is it Joseph Bird? Yeah, Joseph Bird. And this is just a really amazing record. It's on CBS.
Yeah.
And I was playing this today, and the inner sleeve, I talk, the other records that you can buy at the time on CBS, like, Andy Williams, Ray Conniff, Birds, Johnny Cash and Jimmy Carter, great records. But this is just, the most insane sort of side. Did you know this album, Joe?
I don't know. I know the band. I don't know. I should know it, but I don't.
It's just really good. They don't look like, whatever's going on. I think they're a West Coast band, but they're not kind of like, Jefferson Airplane or, they're not decked out in hippie regalia. They look like sort of serious students of music who are just kind of.
It looks like a jazz record.
Yeah, it looks like, but it's a real serious kind of.
Yeah.
You hear your dog in the background.
He's wanting something to eat. I'm gonna have to. I'll deal with it in a minute.
This is really, really important. Really love this album. It's never failed.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Is that how you keep your records? Out of interest, I see you've got the inner sleeve not in the sleeve.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I keep it in the back because it's difficult. If I've got a plastic sleeve, I tend to keep the inner sleeve in the back. Okay. It's a bit nerdy, but it just means I'm not kind of splitting the seam or anything.
Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, I've got a few like that. I've never really known for sure what the best way is. But.
Yeah. But that's cool. And I think there's just one other. This is probably not everybody's favourite Stooges album, but this was a French Stooges compilation. The first thing I heard by the Stooges, and it basically just collects the kind of rockier tracks from the Stooges and the rockier tracks from Funhouse,
right,
and leaves off Funhouse, for example, or just the big noise jams.
Yeah.
So it's like sort of 8 tracks or 9 tracks of just Loose and TVI and Down on the Street and
Bangers. Yeah.
1969. It's just the bangers.
Yeah.
And, you know, and this was the, you know, you couldn't buy Funhouse on vinyl when I bought this. This is a second-hand purchase in a shop in Brighton, probably. And for ages, I just thought this was the most incredible Stooges album because it's just got the bangers on it, you know. And now I love Funhouse and the Stooges because of the sort of light and shade.
Yeah.
But this is really good. I think I got this about a year before I heard like Mudhoney or something, you know.
Yeah.
You know, probably bought this, and I think the Minor Threat Complete works at the same time. And then, like, when Mudhoney came out, it was like, oh, they've been listening to hardcore, but they've also been listening to the Stooges, and it was just, you know. And after reading about the band for years and seeing Iggy Pop play at Reading, I think in maybe 88 or 89, and being amazing, I think it was the Ramones and then Iggy, with some sort of kind of, you know, metal band behind him, just sort of session musician LA types, you know. But he was still great. He was still amazing. And so this is the first thing I ever got by Iggy Pop and the Stooges. And it's, I think it was just French.
It's really weird, like your inroads into bands, isn't it? When in those days where you would just buy a best of first. Like,
but that's the best of 2 albums.
Yeah.
It's only got tracks off of the first 2 Stooges records, you know. Hasn't got anything off of Raw Power. So it's just the bangers, you know. It's just like, you know, so Down on the Street. Yeah. 1969, Real Cool Time, No Fun, Dirt on the A side. Wow. The B side's Down on the Street, Loose, TVI, I Want to Be Your Dog, 1970.
But just, I have the records, but I'm not like a massive Stooges nerd. I like them, but so correct me if I'm wrong. Are they on different labels? The first 2 records.
The first 2 records are on Elektra.
But the 3rd record.
I think CBS put out.
Yeah. So I wonder if they could just license. Do you think they could just license from the first 2 then?
Yeah, but it's on Elektra. This is an actual Elektra compilation of the first 2 records. It's bizarre.
Oh right. Okay.
But why not just have both the records out rather than just like take all the? But I think More Power is on CBS.
Yeah, so they could just take from the first 2 records, and that's why that's like that. Yeah.
But great, but kind of pointless at the same time.
It's pretty weird, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just got. I didn't really want to like bring up records while I'm here because really I've just picked a couple of sub pop records, just ones that like not the obvious big couple, not like, you know, not like Nirvana and not Mudhoney, because that everyone loves those bands. So, but records that I think are interesting, and this is one of them, and I think it's a massively underrated.
Is that Love Battery?
You know it is.
Yeah.
I love it. I still do. Like I've got 3 other albums. This one, Far Gone, and Between the Eyes.
Right.
And I still think they're brilliant.
Yeah, good records.
Yeah.
Out of print.
Are they? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's one. And this is one I really like the B side of this. It's a 7-inch.
Oh yes. Somebody was talking about that today. I've got a copy of that.
Yeah.
I bought it.
Yeah, 96 it came out. But so the B side is Wouldn't It Be Nice vocals only version.
Beautiful.
And like, you know, it's the Beach Boys and their vocal, and it's on Sub Pop. So have you any idea how that happened?
I have no idea how that happened. I'll try and find out. Well, I remember it coming out and I remember buying it.
Yeah. Mental. Yeah. I know. Jukebox Hole as well.
Yeah. Dinked edition.
Dinked edition. Absolutely pointless. Like, who the hell, you know, absolutely pointless. And have I got, oh yeah, and just to show that I think that as a label, I think Sub Pop are still doing good things. This is genuine. It's the Clipping album.
Oh yeah, Visions.
So this is last year, 2020.
Yeah,
so
that's an amazing record.
So pretty much for all of their 33 years, they've released good records.
And the story behind Clipping is insane. You know, David's kind of career, the singer rapper David,
Yeah.
just he has another whole other life of being an actor in the US, from Hamilton, the stage show, to through Blackish, and now Snowpiercer.
Right.
And you know, the first time I saw clipping was in a little club in Elephant Castle about 5 years ago, and it was just insane. You know, live they're unbelievable.
Was that Corsica? Corsica Studios?
Corsica Studios, yeah. Played the Corsica Studios, and it was a couple of days before Christmas. And then, you know, I felt a bit like the dad at the back of the gig. You know what I mean? It's like you're easily 15 years older than everybody. Place was just full of kind of, you know, people who'd kind of come down from Leeds and Manchester and Sheffield, travelled a long way just to see them. And we're trying to, you know, going to try and get home that night, maybe, or just crash somewhere in London. But it was brilliant. Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah. So I think it's impressive to still be, you know, and it's
Yeah.
also, you know, it's the, like, it's, you know,
That's the sort of that's the sequel to their the first sort of horror. It's kind of two albums.
yeah.
Two horror albums. Yeah.
It took me a while to realize that these are all teeth.
Yeah.
I'd never looked. I just looked. I never focused on it. I was like, oh, that's weird, and then just put the record on.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh yeah, there's a whole pile of teeth.
Do you like the Obi strip down the side?
Yeah, it's one of those Obi strips that's got a spine. Yeah. Right. Like, are they still called Obi strips when they're like
still
that?
Called Obi strips, yeah. I think
right.
That's still
because I know that the Obi strip that I imagine is the one that just goes around.
It's all the way around. I still call that an Obi strip. Right. Maybe it's not.
I don't know. I'm let's say it is.
I'll say it is.
Yeah.
I've been calling it for years.
Yeah. So there you go. Still releasing good stuff from, I think, from there to there is.
Yeah, it's mad.
You know,
all points in between.
Yeah, like, you know, fair play.
I'm hugely lucky to work there. They're my favourite. They were my favourite label. Still, you know, still is. When I was 17, you know, I mean, I bought this when I was 17 from the Virgin Megastore in Brighton, on the top floor where the albums department was.
Yeah.
And it, you know, just I listen to it. I still listen to it probably every few months, and it always hears something new. 6-track mini album, but brilliant, you know. Yeah,
I love the hole in his guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a great record, of course. But yeah, so there you go. I think we should call it a night or a day or whatever. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for coming on. One of the reasons I do this is that it's always was my ambition to be on one of those amoeba what's in my bags. And I thought, well, that's never going to bloody well happen, bastards. So fuck them. We'll just do our own one. And we'll make them better and longer and never have a dog involved. Anyway, it's really good to see you.
And nice to see you, Joe. And hopefully see you in the flesh.
Yeah, be good. Yeah.
Colossus show in Brighton, maybe.
Yeah, in theory, we're playing Brighton. Collins putting it on in October or November or sometime. Fingers crossed. You know? Yeah, it'd be good to meet up.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
All right.
Let's wave goodbye and I'll press stop.
All right. Take care, man.
Nice one. Take it easy. Bye-bye.